Hello, welcome back. This is the Cutting Edge View, and I am your reviewer. Hey, your shoes are tied. You're so gullible, McFly. Hey, I'm doing the Back to the Future review right now, and I want to review these movies because there's going to be a Back to the Future movie. There's talk about Back to the Future movie reboot or a remake. Michael J. Fox returning as Marty McFly and Christopher Lloyd, but there hasn't been any like confirmation about it or anything. It hasn't been, nothing's been confirmed or anything like that. Honestly, I don't know how they would do something like that, seeing that Michael J. Fox having Parkinson's disease. That would be a very difficult thing for him to do. But we love I love Michael J. Fox. I love what he's done. He's given us a lot of timeless moments, and if you guys remember these movies, and then also growing up with the family ties. And this movie, released in 1985, it was the first movie where you get to see a lot time traveling in a much better. I mean, there had been movies like that before with movie released in 1960, the Time Machine, but this movie was the first modern time traveling movie you actually saw at the movies. And this movie was one of the absolute greatest movies at the time, and I think it's one of the greatest movies ever made. Starring Christopher Lloyd, Michael J. Fox, and and it tells a story about Marty McFly. He's just your average kid growing up in 1985. I mean, if I was and I was an 80s kid. I grew up I was growing up. I lived in Long Beach, California in 1985. So you can imagine how much like a joy it is for me to do this review. And anyways, he has a name, Doc Brown, Emmett Brown, and he's been talking about making a time machine, and he finally actually he's able to do it, and it actually becomes a reality, and what he uses is a DeLorean. The science of this movie is kind of trying to come up with, let's just say, if we were able to time travel by way of DeLorean, way of a car picking up certain speed using what does it say in this movie, gigawatts or something like that to get 250,000 or so, whatever, 350 gigawatts or something like that, and he's able to time travel because he travels back into 1955 and meets his parents before they get married, and on this movie you get to see a lot of references to the 1950s. There's a Chuck Berry reference on here. With Johnny Be Good, and the movie. So but anytime you go back in time, you're gonna change something, and it's gonna be cataclysmic, and that's what happens on this movie. And that's why I'm doing this in black and white, because it's 1955, and I wanted to give it a shot and do it like that. Anyways, and so he has to he messes up his parents' meeting. What happens? His mother has a crush on him, and he's known as Calvin Klein. Is he a gasser? You know how they used to talk in those days. It was there's a lot of culture on this movie. Those of us that love the 50s, that love what they did back in those days, even though a lot of it was cheesy, but it was an era of great culture for Americans, or for American films. And so he has to make sure they go out to the prom, and so he has to somehow find his way back to 1985 also. And if you guys remember the 80s, you remember Huey Lewis and the News. They got that song, "The Power of Love." It's the power of love. That song, and Huey Lewis and the News was a big hot commodity back in those days. I should know. I would know. I was, like I said, I was an 80s kid, and like a lot of this stuff on here is probably alien to somebody from now. But these movies are timeless. They've been around for a long time, and there's people to this day that still watch them. So so he's able to come back, and he gets stuck there, And you know how they have movie credits now? They have like the X-Men and Marvel Comics movies. They have those end credits you want to keep an eye out for. This is kind of like what only there's no end credits. It happens at the end, and Marty McFly has to create something that messes up the space-time continuum, and great skulls. And Christopher Lloyd on this movie as Doc Emmett Brown was awesome. I love the way I like the comedic, almost Einstein-looking character he plays on here. And there's actually his dog's name's Einstein on this movie. And I give this movie it's a winner. This movie's a winner. It gets a 10, it gets 5 stars because it's the first of its kind. It's like an innovator movie. And all these movies that followed after it, zilch, garbage, no good. Just kidding. So this movie's like I said at the time was highly was a huge blockbuster. It made a lot of money in the box office, and for like I said, those of you that want to relive the '80s and want to go see something what it was like back in those days, and even relive the 1950s, those of you that are old enough old enough to remember this stuff will get a lot of nostalgia on this movie. That's why I wore the glasses and stuff. My glasses. Marty McFly's father on here. You guys see the and also Biff on here, and a lot of these key characters, they're iconic. It is like this. Leah Thompson on this movie, she plays his mother. So there's a lot of if you notice, there might be a little bit inconsistencies in this movie, but you won't notice it because you're not looking at it in a scientific standpoint. But this movie is awesome. I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. If you've already seen it, watch it again. And I love these movies, and these movies definitely get a cutting edge review for winner. And this is the cutting edge review, and I am your reviewer.